Hi friends and new friends, I'm Tao of Satoshi, and welcome to the first ever Dashforce News interview. Today I had the pleasure of speaking with Graham De Barra. He's the CEO of Bitcart.io, and we discussed several things such as his motivation for being in digital currency, how Bitcart.io works, and his impressions of Dash Nation. I hope you enjoy. Welcome to the first ever episode of Dashforce News interviews. Today I have with me Graham De Barra. He's the CEO of Bitcart.io. Welcome to the show, Graham.
Hi, Tao. I'm delighted to be here and to be one of your first, or the first host, attendee at your new Dashforce News. It's very exciting to be here.
Great. So for the viewers who might not be familiar with you, could you give us a short bio of yourself?
Absolutely. So my name is Graham. I'm based in County Cork in south of Ireland. I suppose I've been involved in blockchain since about 2012, 2013. As a student here in the University of Cork studying philosophy, I became very interested in decentralizing governance, in particular pertaining to the financial world. I remember watching the documentary Zeitgeist as a student activist here, and I became very fascinated about new models that we can actually impose on the financial system. One of the greatest challenges was put to me was from one of my best friends when I was a student. He was studying a much more conservative course, teaching, and he asked me one night after a few drinks. He said, after a rant that I had, he said, "Well, what are you going to do about it? What are you going to do about this financial, I suppose, dystopia, as I put it, that we live in?" And so that I was speechless at the time. I was like trivializing different ideas. How can I solve this? I'm only one person, and everybody around me seems to be a bit ignorant to this. And then Bitcoin came around a few weeks later. I discovered it, and since then, I suppose my mind has just been open to meeting, I suppose, new people in this community. And yeah, that challenge has really been at the forefront of my mind ever since. What am I going to do about it? Well, since then, I started several companies relating to blockchain. I worked with the European Union on changing drug policy here in Europe. So for me, I suppose, coming from that world of kind of human rights and law and philosophy, I'm very interested in decentralizing political governance on a global scale and bringing about, I suppose, a new economy that everybody can benefit from, rather than the, I suppose, 1%, as some people put it. I suppose I refer to it as 0.00001%, and so we can give back to the rest of people and distribute wealth and knowledge and intellectual property for the benefit of everyone.
Yeah, I think once you go down the rabbit hole of digital currency, you never look back, do you?
No, it's like an open book of philosophy. You know, it's like a Hegel novel. Once I see that there's actually a reality beyond my phenomenology or beyond my perception, I need to know what that reality is, and I suppose I've been intrigued and discovering it ever since.
And Bitcoin is the first, pretty much gateway to that world. It was the first one. We give thanks to Satoshi Nakamoto for creating it. Yeah, that's how I discovered it as well. I was actually looking into VPS providers, and I went onto this forum, and they were talking about Bitcoin, and that's how I discovered it first. It was like, what's Bitcoin? And then I went down the rabbit hole, and here I am today.
Oh, wow. Congratulations. I suppose it's not a coincidence then that we meet under these circumstances, Tao. You know, you have your story, I have mine, and where they combine is in this great thing that Satoshi Nakamoto has created. So yeah, we have to be thankful to that on a Sunday of all days.
Absolutely, absolutely. Too bad we didn't do this on Thanksgiving.
Oh, maybe we can. We should do it again on Thanksgiving.
So how do you feel that digital currency can change the world?
How digital currency can change the world? I think there's so many reasons. I think everywhere from the beginning at, you know, merchant level businesses, 0% merchant fee or a very, very low merchant fee can be a beginning. This will allow an easier entry into a market for young and budding entrepreneurs, and for people that maybe couldn't get, like for me personally, the reason I became a kind of entrepreneur or social entrepreneur, as I prefer to kind of refer to it as, is because when I graduated kind of from high school, we had the recession here in Ireland. Across the European Union, there was obviously the collapse of major banks, and Ireland were actually the ones who had to pick up the tab. So the Irish population, Ireland makes up 1% of the population of Europe, and we paid back 49% of the European Union's debt. It equated to something around 79 billion euro. And at the time, as a 17-year-old, looking at these figures, I just couldn't understand why our little tiny country of 4.4 million people have to, on average, pay, I think it works out at about 600 euro per person per year in Ireland. And the second average is like somewhere in Eastern Europe, it's like 200 or something like that. I don't know the numbers off the top of my head, but it's proportionately much, much higher than any other country. And I suppose it comes back to equality. Like, why is this fair? So I went to pursue a degree in philosophy and then human rights law, and joined the European Union to work on governance. And this is where I began to see, not just from the business or monetary side of things for Bitcoin, but rather what could blockchain as a whole provide for democracy. So I've been exploring a lot of these concepts since within like the Internet Governance Forum, within the European Union, the Council of Europe, and looking at internet as a human right, and maybe moving on blockchain as a human right, and how can we spread this glorious technology to decentralize much worse governments than Ireland or the European Union, and spread it across the world. And when I look at and study these concepts of democracy, right from the beginning with people like Montesquieu, they theorized, they put into theory, I suppose, what we actionably perceive as democracy today. I don't believe it's a true democracy that was actually created by these French philosophers. I think that this technology, blockchain, will actually bring about a true democracy, a capitalism, what it should be, even a socialism as it should be, if that's what your jurisdiction is into. The reason I think all these systems and theories failed to, I suppose, produce any meaningful results, as we see with a lot of conflict, a lot of fake democracy, such as in dictatorships, which, like Russia, for example, it's a dictatorship, it's not a democracy, is because there's one thing that's in the way, people. And the reason I suppose people are a problem is because there's an inherent human greed in not everyone, but in some people. A lot of people, I suppose, pursue this. In America, they call it the United States of America. They call it the pursuit of happiness, or the American dream. And everybody's looking for this. I think that we just basically haven't been given the tools to properly understand freedom, or actually actualize freedom in a meaningful way that's beneficial for everyone, and not for that 0.00001% that I mentioned earlier. So the potential is huge. The task ahead of us is enormous, and probably the largest task that's ever faced the human race. So I'm very excited to be part of the team. And I look forward to a bright future with blockchain.
Yeah, you make a good point, though. A lot of people look at Bitcoin and they say, okay, it's just a monetary system. But you bring up a good point that it can be used for other things, such as voting and making sure nobody passes scams and things. It's a good ledger for other things other than money. So that's a very good point.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I suppose that's why I became very interested in, and naturally became interested in, Dash. The DAO last year was a big project that I kind of became part of in its young 3 weeks that it lived for. But every day, every night, just putting proposals online, just, oh my God, like, there's a way to make proposals and we can vote on them as a community, and through a smart contract. Nobody can filter this. If it passes, it happens. That's it. There's no bullshit. There's no parliament to get in the way. There's no filter. There's no government. There's no revenue. There's no tax. Not saying that's. I'm not necessarily libertarian, but just the ease of democracy, the flow of it. I just love that. And so I suppose when I was contacted by Dash for this to integrate Dash into my platform Bitcart, I didn't just view Dash as what it could provide for me as a merchant, but also just with the Supernode and with Dash Central and with these proposals that people can make and the masternodes. Like, oh my God, this platform already existed. Whatever about the DAO? I thought the DAO was the first one, but no, Dash was the first DAO. Dash was the first decentralized autonomous organization. And that really just opened my mind up, and I'm just all Dash at the moment. And I'm like really looking forward to getting involved with that system of governance, and hopefully have a Masternode soon, and maybe if I can, and obviously make proposals and vote on proposals. For me, that's the most exciting thing in blockchain at the moment.
Yeah, I'll be getting into that later on in the interview. Yeah, Dash is incredible. You can make proposals, people can vote on it, you can have a Masternode and get paid for servicing the network. It's like Evan Duffield's covered all the bases. It's far from perfect, but it's definitely a good start, and we're really happy to be part of it. So,
absolutely.
Well, I'm going to welcome you to Dash Nation because your company Bitcart accepts Dash, so that's great.
Thanks.
I want to ask you a couple of questions about Bitcart. What inspired you to start that company?
I suppose I was living in Switzerland at the time, and I wasn't making any money. I was pretty much unemployed, and I suppose probably illegal as well, because Switzerland has very terrible immigration rights, especially for even including people around in the surrounding countries like Europe. So I was living there, and I was doing my thesis on some very good public health services that Switzerland actually provide. So I was very interested in this, but it wasn't paying me. I had no money. It's one of the most expensive countries in the world to live in. And I just kind of thought, okay, I need to, my back was against the corner, and I said, okay, I know Bitcoin is the shit. Like, I know this is a wonderful piece of technology. So how can I put it to action? How can I make this my full-time job? So I just basically sat down and just thought and thought and thought for days, and the days became weeks and weeks became months. Through, I suppose, a lot of trading that I was doing at the time, like P2P trading, I came across Purse.io, and I became a merchant on Purse.io, and I was basically paying for people's wish lists, and I think I got up to about 300 orders in about 4 weeks, and I was like, yes, I mean, I actually paid my rent on time this week or this month, and it was great. But then I suppose there was a problem then, like there was a limitation that I found on Purse. And that was, there's no real assurance for the merchant, because Amazon actually don't allow you to purchase wish lists for other people. There's actually something in their terms and conditions that does not allow you to be a third-party drop ship merchant. So I technically violated Amazon's rules. I was closed down. I lost a lot of money, a lot of orders. So I had to recoup all those orders, and I was accountable to the community, and that was totally fine. I paid everyone back. So I was down a bit of money, and I thought, I need to keep trying, because I thought I still had a good idea, and I really liked how that platform worked. But I mean, I was overwhelmed and with confusion that I was banned from Amazon for something that Purse's business model relies on. So as one of the largest merchants on Purse at the time, 300 trades in a month was pretty good. I had to obviously move away from Purse. I wasn't going to be able to purchase wish lists for people again. And I decided that I would set up my own platform, which instead of doing wish lists would actually just trade the gift cards themselves. So that would actually get around the problem which I actually faced, which violated the terms of drop shipping orders for people and being that middleman. Now the middleman is kind of cut out a little bit, and now people can just add the gift cards to their account themselves. So people right now at the moment can, with Bitcoin, receive 15% off Amazon, and using Dash can receive 20% off Amazon by going on to bitcart.io, and they can fulfill their order themselves. They don't need to trust a third party with their wish list, and they can just make the order themselves as they would with any other Amazon order. It's very simple and very secure as well.
Do you offer any other kind of gift cards besides Amazon gift cards?
So I'm protocolling or prototyping, I suppose, hotels.com at the moment. So it's been nice. I've been doing a bit of traveling so far in 2017, and I've been availing of these hotel.com gift card discounts, going to some blockchain events, getting some percentage off hotels. So I'm experimenting. I'm always looking for new gift cards and new payment methods, I suppose. The really one thing that I need to be very careful of in my research and development, and one of the big indicators, is like whether or not gift cards can be reversed, or if they're reversible, and if they are, well, then I can't. It's not really something that I personally really like to use. It would just increase chances of fraud and stuff. But so I'm looking at hotels.com at the moment to add to it. It seems like a very good service. It seems like their gift cards are quite solid and non-reversible. I haven't had any problems at all. But I suppose, like any research and development, I need to be 100% sure before I launch that. So all goes well. I suppose I'll probably be adding hotels.com onto Bitcart in a number of weeks. Yeah. So hopefully people will not only be able to shop on Amazon for their mining gear, for their, I don't know, whatever, their books or their college materials or whatever they're into, or their food, Amazon Pantry. They'll also be able to avail of hotels and apartments as well using hotels.com.
Okay, well, I'm trying to build a Dash Nation, so the people that are in Dash Nation want to travel around the world and use their Dash in multiple places. So that would be good if you could get that happening.
Yeah, definitely. I would love to I suppose, provide that accommodation for people in Dash Network and Dash, what did you call it? Dash Nation. Dash Nation, sorry. Yeah, and we are a nation, we are. Yeah. That's maybe one of the proposals I'm going to make when I get a Masternode, is to create a country, and there's a lot of islands around Ireland. As long as they're 12 nautical, so I'm actually an expert in international law, and one of the rules, I suppose, to creating your own nation is just being 12 nautical miles outside of a border. So between Ireland and America, there's many miles and many islands to explore. So let's get a Dash cruise ship. Let's take people from Niagara Falls. We'll meet you in Montreal or somewhere, any ports along there. We'll pick you up from New York, and we'll pick people up from Europe, from Ireland, and we'll just meet somewhere in the middle, and we have an actual nation. That's my dream. And on the point of the Masternode as well. So any proceeds that I receive from Dash for Bitcart.io, I'm actually investing in a community Masternode. So when it comes, I always bring this back to community governance. Like, the monetary thing is the monetary thing. If people want that, people want that. But my interest in any profits that I make is actually to create a Masternode for the city of Cork, so that the city of Cork can come to my blockchain incubator, and we can organize as a community, and we can vote on all the proposals. So every month we'll look at all the proposals and we will vote amongst ourselves, and then that communally and uniformly will then represent the vote that one Masternode will have. If we can fundraise for more Masternodes, we'll fundraise for more Masternodes. But where I see this actually really working is localizing Dash, like making it into a community voting system. Because that's something I think that's really been neglected from Irish society. While it's a small country of only 4.4 million people, we don't really have the same kind of ballot initiatives or local governance that like a country like the United States have. So we find it very difficult to get things in. If you change a law in Ireland, it's across the border, it's across the entire country. It's not like a state law in America. So there's a lot more work to do. So I believe that a community Masternode can actually just solve a lot of issues right off the bat. And that's one of the kind of projects which I'll be working on here with all proceeds that I receive from Dash. So if anyone wants to get involved in that, if anyone's from Ireland, any listeners, or anyone has any great ancestors from Ireland and they're interested in anything that I'm talking about, just get involved and just get on to me, and we can work together.
Oh, that's fantastic. You're the first person I've heard that mentioned something like that. We have Masternode shares in Dash where people don't have enough to get the 1,000 Dash. They can be part of a Masternode shares, but this is the first time that I've heard somebody saying like a geographical area is going to get a Masternode and become a community there. So that's pretty good. Kudos for that.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, no, thanks. And like we're also looking at integrating Dash in a lot of local businesses here. Like the pub industry is one of our biggest industries, I suppose. And yeah, we're talking to a lot of pubs at the moment, a lot of bars, a lot of shops. What I'd like to see is an alternative economy in Cork, in my city, where we don't need to rely on the dismal euro, which once robbed our country in 2008 with the global crash, and it hasn't really recovered since, and will probably crash again. So why not just move everybody in Cork onto Dash? That's my vision.
Oh, good luck with that. It's a very, very good initiative and endeavor to try and do that. So say, for example, like getting back to the Dash Nation thing, like I know a lot of people take it literally and think that I'm trying to build my own nation or whatever, but basically what it is, it's just referring to the Dash community, right? I don't know if you've heard of like American baseball, but there's a team called the Red Sox, the Boston Red Sox, and they have a thing called Red Sox Nation, and that's what I want to try to do, like have a belonging for people, like not just saying, okay, I'm using Dash, but they say I belong to Dash Nation, and I'm trying to push that. I'm trying to join the movement. So it's more like not so literal. Like some people take it as literal, but I like your idea too.
When do I get my jersey?
I'll be doing Dash Nation stuff. Don't worry.
Can I get number 420 at the back?
Absolutely, absolutely.
Thanks.
Okay, so let's get back to Bitcart. I'm sorry, I kind of went off topic there for a second. But say if I'm like a user who's coming to Bitcart, what would be my process in trying to buy a Bitcart gift card with Dash?
So it's very simple. You go on to www.bitcart.io, you click on order, and you just enter the amount in dollars that you want to receive as a gift card. So let's say, for example, $100. So you click $100, and then it brings you to another screen. On the other screen, you decide whether or not you want a 15% with Bitcoin and pay $85 in Bitcoin, or whether you want to pay in Dash and only pay $80 and pay $80 worth of Dash. The conversion is automated. You just click confirm. It then gives you the Bitcoin address or the Dash address. You send the Dash or Bitcoin to that address, and within 24 hours, you'll receive the gift card in your inbox, ready to spend on your marvelous food, pantry, whatever it is that you want on Amazon.
Wow.
It works for Amazon.com, so any European listeners that might be out there, or Canadian as well, I think there's Amazon.ca, and of course Hong Kong and China, it's only for Amazon.com. So like, maybe it's a good idea like to shop on Amazon.com, or maybe you prefer your own country. If you get this discount, you know, there's no VAT, for example, charged on Amazon. So then you're getting the 15% and you're also saving on VAT, but you might get customs. There might be a charge coming into your country. So, you know, when people ask me, oh, should I use it for Europe or should I use it if I don't live in America? Honestly, that's up to yourself. Like, I would probably say that the saving might be negligible if you have to pay customs tax. So it really is kind of aimed at the USA market for now. Maybe we'll expand in the future.
Okay, thanks for that. There's recently a kind of, how do you say, like a discussion, I guess I'll put it lightly, a discussion on Twitter with Purse, with some Dash Force members that were asking if they were ever going to accept Dash. And they point blank basically just said, no, we're never going to accept Dash, sorry. So do you think they've made a good decision? And why did you choose to accept Dash for your establishment?
I think that's a horrendous decision. And I think that's fairly dogmatic, if I have to be honest with you. It sounds to me kind of like a central bank saying, no, I'm not accepting Bitcoin. For now, a Bitcoin service to say, no, I'm not accepting another cryptocurrency. It seems to be a bit faith-based to me. I mean, Bitcoin has as much chance of collapsing as the euro. I mean, it's fairly inflated at the moment. So I think it's a risk that they're taking on themselves. I don't think it's very, there's not a lot of foresight going into that decision. But, you know, I think Purse should definitely accept Dash. Like I suppose I'd consider myself a Dash ambassador since getting involved. So for me, it would be great if Purse could accept Dash, not because I use Purse, but because Dash will be used more. So they should. And if anyone from Purse is watching or any customers, maybe you should go on Twitter and tell them that for me personally, it's better because it's faster, there's more scalable, like there's more transactions can happen on the node compared to Bitcoin. The community is much more organized in Bitcoin. The whole Dash team are just so lovely. Like the promotion is so great as well. I mean, it's just, my social media has exploded over the past week, you know, between Amanda B. Johnson interview, like your interview, all the articles that have been mentioned. When entering into an agreement with Dash, I mean, you get so much, like there's just so much comes with that. I mean, we got a PR team down here. That was amazing. Like Dash paid for a PR team to come down here. Their European headquarters is in Dublin, so it was quite easy for them to do that. But their international headquarters is in New York City, so that could be pretty easy for Purse as well. Maybe, I don't know where they're based. But there's just so much comes along with it. It's like really joining a network or a family or like a formal like organization or company. It's not just like a kind of willy-nilly technology that is not really owned by anyone and not really accountable by anyone, and you don't really get much out of joining Bitcoin. And you know, the Dash integration was just so nice, and I think Purse should. I think it's a really dogmatic approach by saying that they're just categorically saying no to accepting that. And why? Like why? I think all these decisions comes back to one thing. I think it comes back to the shareholders. So if you want to lobby anyone, any members of Purse, lobby the shareholders. I would imagine that they're probably very invested into Bitcoin and probably not investing at all into Dash. And again, that seems fairly dogmatic. So yeah, maybe when you become such a big company, you're less susceptible to change. You don't want to change because there's a bigger risk for your shareholders. So you want to keep doing the same thing, the same thing, the same thing. The same reason why when I reached out to Jeff, the CEO of Amazon, and I explained to him in 2014 that I have this idea, and in fairness, they replied and everything, and his assistant did get it back onto me. They weren't interested. I was like, this is okay, fine, I'll set up my own company, I'll do it myself with Bitcart. But you know, the same reason Amazon aren't accepting Bitcoin, I think the same reason Purse aren't accepting Dash. It comes back to shareholders, it comes back to traditional values of greed and I suppose loyalty towards a system that works and being afraid to try a new system. It's a shame, that's the world we live in, it's human nature. Will it change with the right lobbying? Consumer behavior can often change what companies deliver. So that's what I would say to Purse customers. Go and ask them, go and demand it. You're their consumer. And if it doesn't work out, you're welcome to Bitcart, whatever. Like everyone's welcome, and Purse is a good service and Bitcart is a good service and Bitcoin is great and Dash is great. So they're all good.
Well, thank you for pointing out the differences in community. That's one thing that we get when people join Dash, when they join the Dash Nation Slack. They're amazed at how well we treat each other. We're not constantly bickering and fighting with each other, and it's because of the governance too. Like you say, we have that outlet to vote, evaluate things, and make a decision and move on. And things are not allowed to fester, and people get animosity towards each other. And we actually have a saying. Well, I coined this phrase. So we're changing the world and having fun while doing it. Like it's a really fun community to be a part of. And we're happy to have you with us.
It really is. It really is. And it's, again, so exciting to be part of Dash Nation.
Now the $1 million question that everybody keeps asking me to ask you in this interview, how can you give us 20% discounts on Amazon gift cards?
So our business model works quite similar to any other gift card exchange out there in the world. We liquidate unwanted gift cards, and using, I suppose, the difference in my service maybe to other services is that I have a very, I suppose, delicate and well-researched risk management. I have consultants here in Ireland who used to work with Amazon. Amazon's European headquarters is based in Ireland. They have offices all over the country. There's loads of people who work in Amazon or used to work in Amazon. So I can get consultants who give me very, very good information. One such consultant used to work in big data security and fraud. So his, I suppose, his technical skills would be, used to prevent fraud. So unlike, I suppose, a lot of exchanges where you have a big risk that the Amazon.com card might be bought using a stolen credit card or bought using, I don't know, some other fraudulent method. The intellectual property, I suppose, that I hold that makes Bitcart different is that knowledge on mitigating risk. So I take the risk away from the consumers. Bitcart consumes all the risk. So if there's a problem, we take care of it. We're responsible. If there's a problem in another marketplace where you're using Amazon and you're buying wishlist, or you're buying, if you type in any other company that does this, and you'll see negative reviews and positive reviews. People are always trying to reduce risk. That's the difference. Any company that is in gift card exchanges that can, nothing's going to be 100% risk-free, but when you can mitigate that risk and you can control that risk and you can manage that risk, that's the secret. And so that's what we do. We liquidate unwanted gift cards, and we have that added layer of security and anti-fraud and risk management to ensure that the consumer is not going to be frauded at the end of the day. So that's what we do.
Okay, I've seen on the Dash Nation Slack that there's some people that have tried your service, and some have encountered a little bit of problems, such as long wait times. What do you think would cause long wait time, and who would you contact for support in case such a thing happened?
Yeah, I really appreciate the comments and feedback from the Dash Slack and on Twitter as well. I mean, we only integrated this, it hasn't even been 7 days. It hasn't even been 7 days. So, you know, this is we released version 3, Bitcart version 3 just during the week. And as a result of this feedback, we took it on board. There was a few bugs, for example, even as up until this morning, we released 3.1. So as a kind of response to a lot of these to any of these like wait times is as you alluded to is the number one feedback that we received. But we need to remind people, we say 24 hours. We don't guarantee that it's instant. So there is a little bit of patience on the consumer side, and that's clearly visible on the first piece of contact you have, or or 3 little things, and you have it takes 24 hours. So I suppose my job now is to make consumers more aware of that, that the expectations from my service and the expectations for consumers are more aligned. That's something that I'm doing at the moment for our next update, which these updates, they come very quickly. We just accepted Dash about 4 or 5 days ago. We released 3.1 today, as of a couple of hours ago, and already like it's a relief on my end, and it's a relief on the developer's end, and it's a relief on the consumer's end that we have improved our service. So like any sort of migration into a new system, there's going to be teething problems. And I think, and I really appreciate the maturity of the community in their ways of communicating and expressing any concerns, and also requesting maybe new features or more information. Like there was, as you said, maybe people were finding it difficult to actually contact Bitcart. That's something, it comes back to usability. So for me, I need to undertake a usability test. I need to get feedback from the community who are using my service, and I need to basically solve their issues by integrating more, what I've discovered, more awareness to align people that they understand that it's a 24-hour wait, to provide a clear path to contacting us, whether that's a contact form or whether that's just an email. So the web designer is working on that at the moment for version 3.1.1. And anything like that we receive, we take it on board. We're transparent. You can see me. I'm here. I welcomed the Dash team here in my home last week. This is all transparent and accountable. So the more feedback that the community gives us, the more that we'll output. So if there's a problem, tell me, I'll fix it. It's as simple as that. So I do appreciate the comments on Slack and on Twitter, and I'm delighted to announce that 3.1 was released about 3 hours ago. So happy shopping, Dash Nation.
Awesome. So are you on the Dash? You are on the Dash Nation Slack then? I wasn't sure if you were there or not.
I was invited to it the other day. I don't know, I know that I think my developer is on it, so I do receive like feedback via him. I must actually join and accept the invitation. That's something that I take very, I suppose, heavy, is having a community presence. I think that's very, very important. So in the next update, we'll have a Telegram chat. We'll have our own Slack as well for people that if they want to get in contact directly with us, they can. And of course, our email is always going to be answerable, and to any sort of like customer queries or anything like that as well. So being transparent and having an outlet for the community to offer feedback, that's the next step that we're going to be improving.
Okay, one final question about that. What is the email that people need to reach you at?
Thanks for reminding me to announce that. It's support@bitcart.io.
Great. So welcome to Dash Nation. Do you see yourself becoming even more of the community, more part of the community, and doing other things for Dash in the future?
Oh, I don't see myself doing anything else but Dash in the future, to be honest. I'll be going to Consensus at the end of May. I'll be exhibiting with Dash for Bitcart, so expect to see me there. Please come up to me. We can have a pint, we can have a whiskey, whatever, we can chat. I mean, what else is coming up? There's the community Masternode. There is a new wearable payments technology that I'm working on at the moment, which will integrate Dash. There's the many pubs and festivals that I'm working with here in Ireland, which I am kind of working with to integrate Dash as well. There's, oh yeah, this is a really interesting one. Disrupting the pharmaceutical industry. That's one project that I'm working on at the moment. So Cork is home of like a lot of pharmaceuticals. We're one of the biggest clusters of pharmaceutical companies in the world, and there's a lot of inefficiencies with how that actually works. So we're working closely with the consultant there. From one of these big major companies. And we're looking at including like blockchain and integrating Dash into this system as well. So there's a lot of interesting things, not just payment related, not just gift card related, but also governance and other industries as well. So yeah, my day is 24 hours. It feels like about 60 hours, and 59 of those are Dash at the moment.
Well, that's great. You definitely seem enthusiastic about Dash, and I appreciate having you with us. So I'm going to give you a little bit of free space. Is there anything else you would like to share with the Dash community at this time?
Well, I have nothing else to plug at the moment, but really, I suppose, look out for me on Dash Central. My tag is GramsDB. Follow me on Twitter, it's GramsDB. Follow me on my Bitcart page for if you want to see and learn any more of these updates, or if you want to interact with me, or send me an email at support@bitcart.io if there's any features that you want to see added, if there's any gift card suggestions, if you think there's a cool gift card out there that you want to be integrated, I'll research it. This is where I spend my time. I spend my time serving the community, serving consumers in the gift card world, and also, I suppose, getting involved in the governance world as well. I'll also be at the European Parliament at the blockchain event coming up in Brussels on the 10th and 11th of May. And this I'm just really, really excited about. I'm really excited about. I mean, having worked there before and stuff, I have so many ideas for them to be much more efficient, and reduce, I suppose, the costs of bureaucracy. There's a lot of time constraints, and there's a lot of inefficiencies in the current way the European Parliament works. And I think that, there's a real threat at the moment, actually, within the European Union, with stuff like Brexit, with, the rise of people like Marine Le Pen, with the rise of the neo-Nazi party in Germany, with the anti-immigration party in Denmark. Even Ireland is split. It's like south of Ireland and you have Northern Ireland, right? So this is technically Europe, not Europe, on a little island. I mean, none of this makes any sense. So what I'm interested in is advancing the European Union project through more efficient and democratic governance system. What can Dash do for that? That's what I'm interested in. Let's bring a uniform Europe using Dash. That's what I have to say about that.
That's Graham De Barra, folks. He was my first interview for Dash Force News. And so thanks you, Graham, for giving us a chance to get to know you and your company a little bit better today. Yeah, make sure you join the Dash Nation Slack.
Oh, I will. I'll do it right now. Actually.
All right. Take care.
Thank you. Bye. Slán.
Bye.